So I told y'all I was going to be following this story like this. And so now people are coming out and blaming Isis, the trophy wife. I hate calling her that, but in case you don't know who I'm talking about, that's what I'm talking about. But there are people now coming out saying that Isis made a video and her children were crying in the background and she did not stop what she was doing to go check on them. Now, I'm not a parent. And in hindsight, does that video sound sad? Absolutely. In hindsight, after all of these allegations. However, absolutely ever, it's not unusual for, because I have a big family, it's not unusual for a parent who's like one parent, right? Who's doing something to allow their significant other to address and handle the children when they're doing something. It's not odd to me that if she was recording and making a video doing her makeup and she believed that her partner was an equal participant in their relationship and her partner was watching the children, it's not unusual that the parent who is there would handle the situation. Even as an older sibling, when my siblings were crying, if I was there, my parents wouldn't come to quell the situation because they know I was handling it. If it was my time to be watching them or we were all together, my parents would not run and stop what they're doing because I'm telling my sister no and the sister or brother starts crying. They trust that I can handle the situation, and they were right. If my father is watching the children and my mother hears them crying, it's not strange for her to continue what she's doing because the father is there. So I think that that's unfair. And people are only saying that now because of what Isis alleged that happened. And now with that in mind, is it scary to hear that background noise? Absolutely. But what I'm saying is it's not unusual for children to cry and say no, because especially when they're younger, a lot of 2-year-olds only know the word no. Even if they are aware of other words, their favorite word is typically no. No, 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 no. And if children cry and get mad at you because you don't want them to stick their finger in the electrical cord, children cry and say, oh, throw temper tantrums because you're saying that they can't eat the carpet or pick the paint off the wall and eat it. So to me, that video did not show me that she's a bad mom. And I think that people are being really hard on her because of, in hindsight, now the background sounds scary because of the allegations that she's making. But it's not unusual for a parent to parent. And sometimes, like, especially when there's a lot of kids, sometimes the dad will be the primary watcher and then the mom can go off and do something else. And then the mom will be the primary watcher and then the dad can go off and do something else. And if she's a stay-at-home mom, or if she was a stay-at-home mom, those times by herself when she just got to have adult interaction on a YouTube live, I'm certain were great moments in her time, in her mind, where she could just have some adult time and not have to be a parent for that amount of time. So and then if that was the case, it would be rational that if the daughter was crying and the father was the one who was watching them at that time, I don't think it's strange to believe that the father is going to handle it. And people with big families understand. If you got a lot of kids, sometimes the children just start fighting each other. And sometimes you break it up and other times you say, well, they'll figure it out because, like, come on. And then you still, even as much as you want to do that, you still end up interjecting. But if you're there, I know there's a lot of times when, especially when my siblings were younger, they would just start wrecking each other and just doing crazy stuff out of nowhere. Like a game would go from playing until all of a sudden your Barbie yelled at my Barbie too loud, and then it was smackdown time. And I would just, hey, whoever was the first adult, or I wasn't even an adult, but whoever was the first, because I'm significantly older than my siblings. So there's like a, you know, it was like an auntie kind of thing more than a big sister. Still a big sister, but you know, like we're significant. There's like a huge age difference. So whoever was the older person in the vicinity was the one who got up and addressed, like, what are y'all doing? Come on. So if her husband was the one watching them, it would make sense that she would continue what she's doing, because children are belligerent sometimes. They're buck wild. So I don't think that that particular video is proof that she was a bad mom. I think that a lot of people, like, this is a very sensitive topic, and a lot of people have trauma based on what they experienced, and people are projecting their situation onto this. There are some people who are projecting the fact that their parent was negligent and purposefully ignored what was happening. So that's what they're seeing from this. Then there are people like me who did not have that experience, so I'm not seeing it. And I have a big family who's kind of loud, so I'm seeing it from that perspective. Then there are people who are seeing it from the perspective of they had a mom who not only was negligent, or a father who not only was negligent, but knew what was happening to them. And so they're projecting it onto the situation. So the thing is, like, we don't know the truth because we weren't there. I'm just posing an alternative perspective because I haven't heard anyone say it like this before. And like I said, we don't know what she went through as a child. We don't know. And I just feel so horrible for her children, for the entire family. And like I said, all of these things are allegations because there's not much information available online. And also not all court proceedings are visible to the public either. But, you know, I just want to point that out. I don't believe that that particular video where she was doing her makeup and she thought her partner was handling the situation, I don't think that that's a bad mom. I think that a lot of people have traumatic experiences and are seeing their experience through this, but we don't know the truth. Okay, so I just want everyone to be healed and think from different perspectives, because I don't want anyone to be extra hurt. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think people are making valid points to the other side, but just at the same time, like, to me, that particular video now, after her allegations, yeah, it's scary. But without having that context, I can see how someone would assume that their partner was watching the children and not feel the need to get up and stop what she was doing, especially if you've been home with them all day and now it's their time with their father. And it's like, another thing is, I'm not talking about this situation, but in general, as a parent, you have to let the other parent be a parent. So the father has to let the mother be the mother too. And the mother has to let the father be the father as well. And you can't, in a healthy situation, you can't, if the father is supposed to be the one in charge of them at that moment, and you come in and try to like barge in and assert your authority, that could make the children not have as much respect for their father, because now you're undermining his authority, and vice versa. So if the father was charged with watching them in that particular moment, he would then also be the one charged with disciplining them, or else in a healthy dynamic, it could skew their view of him and make them feel like he's not to be respected because even mommy doesn't respect him, or she's not to be respected because even daddy doesn't respect them. So if this was a healthy situation, it would make sense that if he was the one charged with watching them, that he would be the one charged with disciplining them at the same time, or else it could seem like that parent doesn't have any authority or power over their children, and then that could lead to disrespect down the line. So that's just my thoughts and perspective on it. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I don't know, but that's just an alternative way to look at the situation.